Good afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Monday, May 7th. Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman in studio. Actually back to Washington, D.C. How was the trip, my friend?
It was a lot of fun going to the nation's capital. Was there over the summer. Loved it. Went to the Nationals game. Went to the Nationals Park. Knocked that off the list. That was awesome. Unfortunately, Bryce Harper went 0 for 4. Nationals lost, but still awesome day. Awesome weekend down nation's capital.
I was going to say, I thought about actually bringing a picture of you in your Nats gear in today, maybe showing that off. I heard you're getting off the Yankees bandwagon as they become the hottest team in baseball.
Well, Gleyber Torres brought me back in with that walk-off home run. Youngest Yankee to ever hit a walk-off home run, so that's pretty cool.
Did you prefer it's Gleyber Day or Gleyber of the Month?
I like Gleyber. I like Gleyber month. I like Gleyber month because he's what? They've lost one game since he's been a member of the Yankees.
I think if that if that was when he came up, but I mean 15 of their last 16, and all of a sudden that series with the Red Sox looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Two best records in baseball, and it's only better. Only makes the sport that much better when that's going on. Obviously, a lot going on across the world of sports now. The playoffs, you've got the Vegas Golden Knights continuing their great run. LeBron James making a case to be the GOAT. The process is failing. But we've got a lot going on in the FCAC, and playoff races are really starting to shape up. And, you know, the big takeaway still from last week, the Greenwich Cardinals right now on the outside looking in boys lacrosse, and the odds just are not going to get much better. They need a lot of help here.
They need a lot of help, and that's really been the big surprise. And we keep talking. It's not like they're a bad team. They have talented players, talented roster. They're just missing that one little piece. And it just seems like talking to Coach Bobby Lutz, it's just been the lack of offense has been struggling so far this year for the Greenwich Cardinals. A little miscommunication, but it would really be a shame if they didn't get in. So they do need a lot of help, but it's going to be interesting. And how about baseball? West Hill on the outside looking in too. That's another team that maybe just like a little similar to Greenwich, how we always expected West Hill during the beginning part of the season that they would get into the playoffs. They're a team on the outside looking in as well.
We're going to spend more time on baseball in the B block. We'll have highlights of our game between Staples and Darien from Friday. We'll talk more about the boys and girls lacrosse pictures later on in the show. But first, it is a Monday, so we have Athlete of the Week winners and nominees in the spring season. Congratulations to our Week 4 winners, Jack Jones of the Trumbull Track and Field Squad, and Kat Connell of the St. Joe's softball team. Those are your winners for last week. Let's kick it off with our nominees for this week, and we'll start with the ladies and Kevin.
All right, Franks. Kim Saunders, Stanford softball starts things off here, the female nominees. The freshman did it all this week, going 3-0 on the mound, including a perfect game and an 8-0 victory over Staples. Saunders struck out 8 in that game versus the Wreckers. Kim also took care of business at the plate, going 3 for 3 on Saturday with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs in the Black Knights win versus the Ward Mustangs.
All right, our first male nominee of the New Canaan track and field team is Sean Knight, who won the 110-meter hurdles race and was second in the 300 hurdles in Saturday's Middletown Invitational track and field meet. Knight was first in the 110 with a time of 15:27, and he finished 41.95, just a tenth of a second behind Manchester's Sean Okemia in the 300-meter.
And we go to Darien girls tennis. Lily Ma, the Waves' #1 singles player, won 2 huge matches as Darien knocked off FCAC contenders Staples and New Canaan last week. In a rematch of last year's FCAC final last Tuesday, Darien defeated Staples 5-2 with Ma scoring a 6-3, 6-2 win over Alyssa DeMaio. 2 days later, the Wave defeated rival New Canaan 6-1 with Ma topping Ashley Walker 6-1, 6-2.
All right, how about Quinn McDonald of the Richfield baseball team going 8 for 11 with 6 runs scored and 8 RBIs last week, helping the Tigers sweep their 4 opponents, including 3 FCAC playoff contenders in Wilton, Darien, and St. Joseph. His hits included a double, a triple, a home run, and 4 of those RBIs came in a 6-2 victory over the Blue Wave on Thursday.
We're going to stay in Richfield. We're going to switch things over to softball with Elizabeth Croxford. Croxford threw a 3-hit shutout in a win over Fairfield Ward. The junior pitcher struck out 7 batters in the Tigers' 3-0 victory.
All right, Randy Mateo of the Norwalk baseball team knocked in the Bears' first 4 runs in their 5-4 victory over rival Brian McMahon on Saturday. Had a 2-run single in the first, a solo homer in the 4th, and then an RBI single in the 5th.
Fairfield Ludlow softball, Kylie Halderide. The sophomore pitcher was on her game in the Falcons' 12-0 win over West Hill on Saturday. Kylie threw a 2-hit shutout, striking out 11 batters and improving her record to 11-3 on the season.
All right, and our final nominee, Hayden Gorley of the St. Joe's baseball team, allowed just a single in the 7th inning in pitching the Cadets to a 6-0 victory over West Hill. Gorley struck out 9 batters in the 1-hit shutout victory. Those are your 8 nominees for Athlete of the Week. The poll and voting will open at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Go to the Sports tab on the homepage at HAN.network, click Athlete of the Week, and submit your vote for who you want to see as the winner. Kevin and I are going to take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we take a look at what went down this weekend in baseball, including highlights of Staples' big victory over Darien on Friday.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 4 locations: Norwalk, Darien, Westport, and Danbury. Go to myorthoct.com, like them on Facebook.
Create your dream home at Laurel Ridge. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garages, finished basements, wooded and lake views, recreation facilities galore. Stay connected to your local lifestyle with the convenience of being just minutes away from Fairfield County. Luxury townhomes that are smart, elegant, custom, and maintenance-free. Create your...
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, Monday, May 7th. We're looking back at Friday's action. The game of the week on the HAN Network, well, it was not as tightly contested as we thought it might be. Staples and Darien at Staples Field, and the Wreckers taking care of business 7-1 as we run the highlights for you here. It was a dominating performance, Kevin, and it started with Chad Knight on the mound. You see the Wreckers get on the board first. They got quality hitting throughout their lineup, top to bottom. Knight was nothing short of dominant in his 4 innings that he pitched in the his first start of the season. He surrendered just 1 hit and 1 walk, struck out 7. Alex Chima did a very good job in relief. For Darien, we talked about this. They had to throw a lot of pitchers, and it was a lot of guys who have not had to pitch yet this year. This was their 5th game in 5 days, and that's in the MLB. That's asking a lot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, that's tough for a Major League Baseball player to be able to do. But for Darien, this is, I think they learn a lot from a loss like this. But how good is Staples at home? And Max Popping, you see that home run right there for him. 2 for 3 on the day, a double, a home run, 3 RBIs. He's that type of player in that batting order you have to be careful with. This is a Staples team with a win like this. Okay, now they maybe get a little momentum going here. Richfield staying hot, too, on the top of the standings. So this is really going to be a fun finish. Darien, even though they lost 7-1, I fully expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, they lose 2 in a row at the end of that week there. It was a long stretch, obviously, for the Blue Wave. And you fall to Richfield and Staples, who you're now chasing in the standings. They've got a tough game this afternoon against New Canaan. We can talk about that a little bit more in a second, but you've got Staples and Ridgefield playing this afternoon now at Ridgefield. That'll be for first place, or at least sole possession of first place in the conference, and realistically should lock up the #1 seed heading into the tournament. You talk about how well that Staples has played at home, but now you've got Ridgefield at home, fresh. You know, after a week of 4 games, you get the weekend to recuperate. Now they're ready to go. What are your thoughts looking ahead to this afternoon's game?
That's a good question. You know, with Staples coming off the big win on Friday, I still think that they have a lot of momentum coming to Ridgefield. Now, Ridgefield, always so good at home. That field, there always seems to be that home field advantage for the Tigers. But this is going to be a close game. I don't believe Alex Price is going to be on the mound because he just pitched on Friday. But I think Ridgefield still has good depth in pitching. They have guys who come in the bullpen and really are able to do well. Quinn McDonald's playing great baseball for the Tigers. So this is really going to be a tightly contested game. I don't think you're going to see it go 7-1 like we saw on Friday with Staples and Darien. I think this is going to be a lot closer matchup. I'm going to give Ridgefield the slight edge at home, but it's going to be very close.
Got to figure that Alex Price is on the mound this afternoon for the Tigers. If that's the case, then I think it's a safe bet with them at home. And it's another example of just a Ridgefield team, Kevin, that's quietly going about their business. We expected that they would be good, but here they are now competing for the top seed in a conference again. Staples is obviously the odds-on favorite heading into the year, so it'll be interesting to see how the Tigers match up with a Staples team now that's really starting to hit its stride.
And you know what? A lot of kudos to Coach Fabry, because that team that made it to the FCAC championship game last year and fell 1 run short, 90 feet away from tying the game, they lost so much talent from last year's team, so many starters. And he's been able to, you know, kind of reconstruct this lineup, bring some new faces in, some young guys really making a good stand on this team, making their names known. So kudos to Coach Fabry, because he's done a terrific job with this squad considering what he lost due to graduation last year.
10 teams in the FCAC have 5 losses or less. Teams 4 through 10 in the standings right now have at least 4, no more than 5 losses. Sitting right behind that 11 and 12, you've got Greenwich and West Hill with 6. The race is getting very, very tight. And another big game this afternoon, New Canaan could do themselves a lot of good with a win over Darien. They would pole vault the Blue Wave in the standings and really put them in a good position towards locking up a spot, but they've got to go on the road. Darien finally gets a couple days to relax and rest. They'll come back with the top of their pitching lineup. Remember last year this game at Meade Park, New Canaan wins it on a walk-off homer. So there'll be a little bit of revenge on the minds of the Blue Wave, and their captains really talked about this game standing out to them before the year.
Oh, certainly. And to win last year and to still look back on it, I 100% agree with that. That's going to be a great game as well. And you look at the 3 teams that are tied for 8th right now, or the final spot, sitting at 6 and 5, Ludlow, Trumbull, and Wilton. I still think those are very talented teams who are starting to find their stride. Trumbull, 6 and 5. I still think they're a dangerous team. I think if you're going to play them, if you're any of these teams sitting 1 through 5 right now, Trumbull, to me, is the danger, only because of Ben Farrow.
Let me ask you this, as you look at the standings here, and we'll focus on 5th, and I'll go all the way down to 12th. Who has been the biggest surprise to you, whether it's positive or negative? Is it a team like St. Joe's, who has found a way to really piece this all together a year before we expected them to? Is it Ludlow or Ward, who's quietly made a name for themselves? Or what about a team like Wilton or West Hill, who has probably underachieved to this point in the season?
We mentioned already, it has to be West Hill, only because, you know, yes, they lost some players due to graduation, but they were bringing back a lot from that roster last year. That was arguably one of the top teams for a good chunk of the season, and were upset in the playoffs, got knocked out early in the FCACs. So I'm really surprised about West Hill. Wilton, I'm a little surprised too. They bring back a good amount from last year's team as well, but they're a team just like Trumbull, who I think will start to play better baseball down the stretch once it gets a little warmer out. Maybe you see them get a couple wins this week, kind of bump them up in the standings. Wilton, I'm not too worried about just yet. West Hill has been a huge negative surprise to me.
Big game today in that you have got St. Joe's at Ludlow.
Yeah.
and that's going to be a big opportunity for a Falcons team as well. Really, the games the rest of the way down the stretch, if you've got a team outside the top 11, you've got to find a way to beat them. You can't afford to drop games that you need to win now, but you're going to see a lot of teams in the top 7, top 8 playing against each other. By the end of this week, the standings are going to make a lot more sense to us.
I agree. And look at Danbury sitting in 4th. They're playing Central today. They cannot take them lightly. They have to take care of business at home against Central. This is a game that's a must-win for Danbury at this point. 8-4. You get a 5th loss in there right now this week. That's a tough spot for the Hatters. And I know they're familiar to be in that position like this, but I think today is a huge game for the Hatters to make sure that they don't take an opponent lightly like this.
10 days left in the regular season, and there will be no shortness of excitement down the stretch here. Kev, let's take one more break on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we'll take a look at both lacrosse, boys and girls, as well as softball, where those playoff pictures sit as we head into this final full week of the regular season.
Now teeing off, Paul Miller from Miller Nissan in Fairfield.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What about my new Sentra?
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
He is never going to retire.
At Galt, we always put you first. As your full-service home heating partner, we provide expert delivery, installation, and maintenance for all your heating needs with knowledgeable, friendly professionals that give you peace of mind 24/7. Galt Family Companies, you first since 1863.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home. Time to refresh and reinvigorate the way you live. And whether you're redoing something big or small, remember the letters RE stand for Rings End. We're the new model in home remodeling.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
Welcome back, Nutmeg Sports. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, breaking down the playoff races as we head into the final full week of the FCIAC regular season. Let's talk softball for a minute here. It won't be as exciting a race throughout the conference, and I really think we both believe, Kevin, that it's Trumbull, St. Joe's. Ludlow is flirting around up there, but those two teams on a collision course realistically for that FCIAC championship.
Yeah, and they just played each other in a great game last Wednesday. Trumbull coming away with the victory, but I think a lot of people expect that to be what is to be the championship game against St. Joe's. Trumbull, good little rivalry there, crosstown rivals. So I think a lot of people will be excited to see that, but again, this is what we see every year. You got to get into the FCIAC postseason. You never know what happens once you get in. It's that one game where, hey, if you don't show up to play, you're going to be out. You're going to be the team going home. And so for teams like Trumbull and Ludlow and St. Joe's, they have to go into this tournament thinking, okay, we have to take this one game at a time, but this is really going to be a fun finish. Stanford, they're a team as well. They're playing great softball at the moment. Kim Saunders, Athlete of the Week nominee now, throwing a perfect game last week. Pitching is so huge down the stretch here in softball as well. So it's really going to be an exciting time for softball here in the FCIAC.
Big game at St. Joe's today. Ludlow playing against St. Joe's. That it would be for sole possession of first place in the East Division. Holderreed for Ludlow. Kylie Holderreed for Ludlow has done really, really well on the mound this season. She can give them a fighter's chance, I believe, if you get into that postseason and she's hot. But you're right, Stanford peaking at the right time. Realistically, though, they're all chasing Trumbull.
Oh, yeah.
And you're defending state champion with a lot of motivation for an FCIAC tournament that you were bounced out of early by your rival. If you're looking at this like you want to play the odds-on favorite and what's the safe bet, can't go wrong picking Trumbull heading into this tournament.
Fully agree, and they kind of have that little chip on their shoulder too this year, and they want to prove people wrong once they get into the FCIAC tournament. So it's going to be exciting. Emily Gell, pitching well for the Eagles. So this is going to be this is the Eagles' time now that they have to take advantage of taking it game by game now, get ready for the postseason, and once they get in, This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really fun.
Let's stick with girls. We'll talk about lacrosse, and one team that we haven't had a chance to see yet this season, but we're going to pretty soon in the postseason. The Greenwich Cardinals. They're 8-1 in the FCAC, 13-2 overall. Kevin, remember they lost their first game of the year versus Fairfield Ludlow. Since then, well, they've just won 13 out of 14 in all 8 FCAC matchups. Do you see Greenwich being able to give New Canaan or Darien a run for their money in the FCAC tournament?
I do. I think this is a talented team. And you mentioned that one loss beginning of the season. You know, this is not to give a little nudge to the boys, but we all kind of saw that what happened with the boys team losing to Trumbull and the girls team losing early to Ludlow. Everyone was thinking, what's going on here in Greenwich lacrosse? But, you know, great job by the girls team to pick it up and play great lacrosse ever since that one conference loss. And they've really played really well. And, you know, this is a team that once they get into the postseason, I do think that they can give New Canaan and Darien a run for their money. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a good tournament.
The big benefit for them is that they won't have to play against New Canaan or Darien in the regular season. Their last remaining game that will really be a test in the regular season is against Staples this week on Thursday. So we'll learn a little bit more about them there. Do you think it'll be a shock and awe perspective of they are going to surprise New Canaan or Darien with how good they are, having not played them in the regular season, or they just haven't played quite up to that competition level yet, and they might be the ones who get stunned when they have to go against the big, bad teams of this conference?
You know, I was thinking about it. Did I want them to play New Canaan and Darien in the regular season just so they'd know what to expect? I don't think so. I think this is a Greenwich team. They're going to surprise these two teams once, you know, if they make it to the semifinals or the finals and they have to go up against the Rams or the Blue Wave. I think the fact that they didn't have to play them, they'll come in loose, fresh, ready to go against a new opponent, a tougher opponent. But I think they're going to really surprise the Rams and the Blue Wave in this tournament if they're able to face one another.
Well, while they are such a bright spot for the spring season down in Greenwich, on the other side in boys lacrosse, that is not the case. The Cardinals, still coming out of the weekend now after a loss against Darien, are seeing their FCAC playoff hopes really down to its last life, and they are going to need some big-time help this week, Kevin.
It's going to be really tough sitting here. 5-4 now, losing to Darien on Saturday. Man, Greenwich, they just have to keep an eye on the schedule now. They got to keep an eye on all the scores and make sure, you know, that they get all the help that they need. They need Trumbull to lose. They need Staples to lose. Richfield sitting 8-1 right now. They're looking at getting a pretty good seed in the tournament. So this is going to be a tough battle now. These last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks for Greenwich, they're going to have to keep their eye on the schedule and see who's, you know, what teams do we need to win, what teams do we need to lose. So they're going to need a lot of help, and we'll see if they get it.
Thursday could be a big day for them getting help. New Canaan will play against St. Joseph. You have to think the Rams will be favored in that game. Of course, tomorrow night, we're going to see St. Joe's and Ludlow square off. So really for Greenwich right now, you got to be thinking to yourself, we are rooting for Ludlow and New Canaan these next 2 nights. You need to see St. Joe's fall down a couple of games consecutively here. That, in my opinion, their best chance. But Ludlow also has Wilton remaining on their schedule. So the opportunity is there, but it is certainly not a position that the Cardinals expect it to be in or want to find themselves in.
No, they definitely don't want to be in a position like this, needing help from other teams. And yes, maybe it helps tomorrow. You know, if Ludlow's able to win at home against St. Joe's, maybe that helps them out a little bit and push further and further. And then, you know, they have to root for New Canaan as well. They have to have New Canaan beat St. Joe's. So really, you know, we're going to expect to see them maybe watching some tape tomorrow when we'll be live at Taft Field. So Greenwich going to need a lot of help. But again, if they're able to get in, maybe they use that as a confidence booster. Maybe they use that as motivation, saying, all right, we're able to get into the tournament. Let's do some work. And you know, it's going to be interesting. But a lot of surprises this year in boys lacrosse. Trumbull, Ludlow, all playing really well. St. Joe's been playing well. Wilton's starting to come alive a little bit here towards late in the season. And Richfield, without Greg Gatto, has done a pretty good job.
All playing well. Which team do you give the best chance to pull an upset of Darien come tournament time?
I'm going to give New Canaan just because of what I saw last Saturday in the doubleheader. I think New Canaan played them really tight, really well. Thought Chip Buzzio had a good game plan for the Blue Wave. I want to see these two teams battle out again because talking to some of the guys from the New Canaan side, they want another crack at Darien. They feel like they have the confidence to not only, they almost did it once. I think they're confident they can do it, one more time.
And we'll get a good look at where Ridgefield stacks up as well this upcoming weekend. They will host the Blue Wave on Saturday. Kev, great job today. We've got a very busy week coming up. As you mentioned, a huge lacrosse game tomorrow night here on the HA Network. But keep an eye out for us. We'll be around checking out a bunch of games this week, getting film. So we got plenty of highlights to break down as the playoff race heats up. For Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you next time on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.